What do you think it would take to solve all world's problems?
I don't think there's probably an answer for that. I don't, I don't know I don't have an answer for that one. We got a lot of starving kids out there, obviously. I mean, it seems kind of stupid and silly to say that, but we do. We've got water problems. I do believe that our earth is changing, that we've polluted it extremely, to where we're killing it to some degree. Overall, people just aren't accountable like we talked about. They kind of should be. Tremendous amount of distrust, and I think we see that in our country right now, which is just horrible and sad to say. There's just tremendous distrust for everybody. I mean, I hate it, but it's out there. How you fix that, I don't really know. But and I think things need to change some way, or it's just going to end up just spiraling downhill. I think we've seen that in, I was a history major, so I mean, we've seen that in history.
Who do you believe is responsible to take charge for solving the world's problems? Is there maybe a specific generation, or
no? I think we're all
relying on
somebody
else to do it.
No, I think everybody's got a vested interest, and so if you're not willing to pitch in one way or the other on an individual level, it's just probably never going to get done. So no, it's not somebody else's problem. It's everybody's problem.
It's everyone's problem. Agreed. Do you think our country's upcoming graduates have any focus of making their world a better place?
I think so. I'm not real in tune with that age group. Kids that age, that generate, they're very smart. Access to tremendous amount of information, more information than I ever could have even fathomed when I was in college. I mean, you literally went to the library and used index cards, and so for doing your research papers. So. I think, if education is power, and if, that generation, if a younger generation is given access to a lot of appropriate knowledge, and let's kind of say it that way, where it's, it's accurate, it's informational, it's there for a reason, it's there to build you up, it's there to help you become a better leader, then definitely. If that's a confidence course, if that's a leadership seminar, if that's a whatever, I don't know. But I think those can be very, very powerful. And I think they would like to go. Now, do we owe that to them? I'm not saying that at all. I mean, I think, it's kind of affect your own rescue sometimes too. So,
for sure.
But knowledge is power, as long as it's good knowledge, if that makes sense. So,
do you think that maybe the huge shift that you're seeing is closely or mostly tied to the advancements of how quick our technology evolved?
When you say the shifts, what do you mean?
Like you were saying, we grew up in a time before
totally.
where it was simpler. Everything felt, like we're looking out for each other. It was a simpler time.
No, it definitely.
And now we're in crisis times with people's emotional states. It seems
it's too much, in my opinion. I mean, and it's the, you can sit here all day long and argue, what's good, what's bad. I mean, how much is too much? How much is not enough? I mean, like I said, I have a 7-year-old, and he watches an iPad at times, and we're just like, we can't believe we're letting him watch an iPad. I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous. But I will say this as a parent. I think kids have way too much access to information, and the reason I say that, and it's not because I'm trying to hold information or keep information from them, it's they're kids.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not supposed to, when you're 7 or 10 or 12, this is just my opinion, have to deal with everything associated with the world. It's just too much. I mean, when I was 10, I was on my bike, I was riding around my neighborhood, I was playing in the dirt, and I watched the Dukes of Hazzard.
I know, right?
Once a week, so, but I think it's, and I've said, it's really hard to be a kid today. I feel for them, because they have access to so much, and a lot of that is very painful. A lot of that is they don't have the mental makeup to understand what they're even seeing. I mean, they can't even get it.
Right.
And it's funny. I mean, my son will ask me questions sometimes. He's like, he has no idea, and his perspective or lack of perspective. I mean, it's just completely foreign to him. Something that may not be to you or me, but
Sure.
we're adults, and we've seen so much, and so yeah, I think it's a real problem actually. But we're in a world now where you can't survive without it.
Right. Right.
I mean, I told my wife the other day, I was like, I just want to go completely off the grid, but with what we do, we can't. Like, I have to have this cell phone. I cannot do my job without the cell phone.
Yep. Without a Facebook.
And it's got to have internet on it. And I got to be able to check websites. And I got to be able to do this and that. And I mean, I can't do it.
All right. Can you please just introduce yourself to the camera, your branch of service, and when it was that you served?
Okay. Yeah. Michael Young. And I was in the Air Force. Went through the Air Force Academy, started in 1989, and retired in 2013.
And what were some of the most valuable lessons you took away from your military experience?
Good question. I would definitely say the military instilled. I mean, I was already a pretty disciplined kid, but it instilled just a huge sense of discipline in my life. I mean, you still see it to this day. It instilled a huge sense of integrity. And then a huge sense of others before yourself. So like kind of a selfless attitude. I flew A-10s, and so our mission really was to support the guys on the ground. And so it just kind of bred itself along those lines. But those are really probably the three things that I pulled from my 20 years or so.
All right. Do you think any of the decisions made by our government then, like we'll say even when you first started or whatever those years were, do you think they hold any reflection on the current state of human morality we see today? Do you think that our government has shifted in any way the way that things are today versus...
The real answer to that is I think we've shifted as a population and as a people. And my wife and I talk about this all the time, but it's a whole different world today. And I mean, obviously, duh. But
yeah.
There is in my opinion, a tremendous lack of just overall morality. Everything's acceptable. Nothing's not acceptable. There's nothing wrong. Everything's right. And the reality is in the world that's just not the way it is. I'm not saying it's black and white. There are tons of shades of gray. But I think we're seeing that in every echelon of our world and in our country right now, to where there's just no accountability. At the lowest levels, I mean, I see it with younger kids. I see it with 20-year-olds. We got this term millennials, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then you see it with our older generations now, too, where it's not my problem. It's your problem, not mine. Well, no, it's our problem. And how that's come about, I don't know.
Would you support my efforts with $1 to build plus operate a modified confidence course training program that is intended to be offered to the civilian citizens of America in an effort to unite the people in just cause of solving the world's problems?
Sure. Here's $1.